Hello everyone, welcome back to the Velocity channel where this is your bridge to financial freedom. Today we want to show you how to take your car loan, student loan, any other loan, but today the emphasis is car loan. And we want to show you how to dramatically not only reduce the principal, but also the interest, paying off that car loan in months instead of years, particularly 5 years. But before we go into that, I want you to like, share, and subscribe so that everyone around the globe can know the power of Velocity Banking. Are you ready? Well, so am I. So let's go ahead and hop right into this. We do have the $43,000 at 12% interest rate, $956 each and every month. Remember that $956 or whatever your minimum monthly payment is not going towards the principal. $526 is, all right? And the rest of the money, where is that going, you may ask? Well, to our friends, the bank. $430. We want to make sure that we reverse that trend, and we're going to be reversing it with Velocity Banking. On our other side here, we do have a line of credit of $10,000. Let's just say that's at 21%, but it doesn't matter if it's 30 or 40%. We're not going to be using any of our lines of credit like other people would, okay? We're going to be using it wisely. We're going to be making sure that the financial allocation of this amount is proportionate to what we're trying to do. Now, before we get into that, I want to share with you something that one of our community members shared with us, and that is, CJ, I do not get how when you're doing Velocity Banking, and I really appreciate her transparency here, how in the world is the principal increasing and how is the interest towards the bank decreasing? I don't get it. All right, we're going to share with you that as well. Before we do, this DS, it's called debt snowball. Okay, a lot of you probably have already heard of these terms, debt snowball and debt avalanche. I want to let you know that Velocity Banking does not run competition with anything that you may already be doing. Does that make sense? You may have a budget or a money allocation plan that you already have. Well, if you implement Velocity Banking, it only enhances that, okay? For instance, if you combine debt snowball with Velocity Banking, you get a debt blizzard. Okay, that's what DB stands for, debt blizzard, meaning we're going to wipe out all of your loans very quickly so that you have cash flow, not in years, but in months. Okay, of course, that depends all on what the cash flow is currently and how you are feeling as far as these different methods are concerned. Debt avalanche. When you combine that with Velocity Banking, you get a debt blizzard, all right? We're going to wipe out all of those loans, increase the cash flow, eliminate the debt very fast, as in this case. Now, let's go back to that question, all right? How is, when I place, let's just say $1,000 of the $10,000 line of credit, checking, or savings account, doesn't matter, our focus is getting rid of this principal as quick as possible. So as we're doing that, how are we decreasing the amount we're paying to the bank and increasing the amount that's going to the principal? Well, let's make sure that we have one thing for certain, and that is that $43,000, as soon as we place that $1,000 towards it, that extra $1,000, remember, it's going from $43,000 down to $42,000. Now, what is the interest feeding off of? Okay, and actually, I should go ahead and place in there the $526 as well, because 1,000 plus 526 is what? $1,526. So that principal is decreasing by $1,526. Let's just go ahead and do that. And for those of you who maybe forgot how to do subtraction like this when there's a bunch of zeros involved, let me go ahead and just show you. All right, 4. We're gonna have 4 there. That's 7, 4, 0, 4. Somebody check the math on that. I hope I am correct, and I probably am. Okay, $40,474. What is the interest chewing on? That's right. That interest is now not chewing on the 43,000, right? Not chewing on the 42,000 or something else, right? Which is what you would have if you were to continue to pay that $956 a month. But it's now chewing on $40,474. So let's go ahead and multiply 12% by the $40,474, and let's see what you have then. All right, so we're going to go ahead and walk you through this just so you get a picture of what we are talking about here, all right? So we have the $40,474. What we're going to do is multiply that, okay? So we're going to multiply that by 0.12, okay? Which is the 12% in decimal form. That's going to equal $4,856.88. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and divide that by 12. Why? Well, because there's 12 months in the year. Isn't that awesome? And that is going to equal $404 that goes to the bank. Now, in proportion as to how much this went down, and you guys can check me on this, this went down by $26 instead of just by $1 and instead of just by $2, $3, right? Which is what you're used to when you're paying just the minimum monthly payment. It went down by $26. How much do you think you are now going to add towards this payment over here? $26. Isn't that awesome? So now we're going to go ahead and say, okay, so now there's more going towards the principal and less going towards the bank. 526 plus $26 is what? $552 towards you. Okay, towards your principal, towards now you're going to go ahead and pay that off even more. And because we did the 1,526, it's not just the 552 that's going towards the principal. It's the 1,000, right? $552, and now you're seeing how you are avalanching or blizzarding this principal payment down dramatically. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to go ahead and just take a snapshot here. We are far from done. We already know what to do when there is a $10,000 at 21%. We know it's going to dramatically reduce that principal payment, but perhaps you're thinking, wait a minute, don't I still have groceries? CJ, how am I going to pay for the expenses that I've already allocated in my budget? If I use my line of credit as a new checking account, don't I still owe on the line of credit? And that's a great question. That's a great question. So this is how we're going to answer. I don't care how much you get paid. I don't care how much expenses you have. If you have a monthly cash flow, you can pay off your debts way faster than you could otherwise. Now, let's say your monthly cash flow, regardless of what you're getting paid and how much you owe, your expenses are. If you have a monthly cash flow, let's just say $2,000. All right? And your balance is $10,000. Why? Because now you're going to be using this as your deployment account. That's the account that you save or you sanctify or you set apart to simply devour cash flow sucking loans such as the car loan, okay? So you have the $10,000. You have the cash flow of $2,000. You're now going to divide 10,000 divided by 2,000, And that's going to equal 5 months. 5 months to what, CJ? 5 months until you are out of the $10,000. So now let's just say you used that $10,000 to eradicate that $43,000, okay? Let's just say you said 10,000, okay? Let's go ahead and subtract that from 43,000. That is what? 33,000. Now keep in mind that's going to dramatically reduce your, not your payment, because guess what? You're on an amortized schedule, right? That payment, it doesn't matter how bad you hammer this principal payment, you are still, this principal balance here, you're still going to have the $956 each and every month. However, that minimum monthly payment is drastically being changed in how much goes towards the principal and how much goes towards the interest. Why? Because 12% of 33,000 is way less towards the bank than the 404. Do you remember that? Okay, so just keep that in mind. We're talking about going from 5 years down to about 2 years, okay? When you're implementing velocity banking, especially when, let's say, you can only afford the $10,000 a year, you only allocate $10,000 a year towards paying this down, you've still subtracted your loan by 3 years, okay? And now, can I ask you a question? If you paid this off, okay, in about 2 years instead of 5 or 60 months, did you really have the interest rate of 12%? That's why we don't pay attention to interest rates. Velocity banking takes away the worries of an interest rate. You know, don't let anyone make you feel bad, make you feel like you are less than, simply because of the 30, the 40% interest rates. Now you have a weapon to put in your arsenal just in case those types of scenarios happen. Does that make sense? Just in case you have a higher interest rate over here, but maybe a lower interest rate on this credit card, what can you do? Well, perhaps balance transfer. Perhaps something that is something that you're feeling comfortable with. And of course, if you have any questions on that, that's why we are here. But you're looking at the 10,000 at 21%, and you already have it. And it doesn't even matter if it's 10,000 or if it's 5,000. The truth is, what are you gonna do with it? Did you just get the line of credit to buy? Or are you looking at it as a debt weapon, a debt tool, to make sure that this number here is not only eradicated, okay, we eradicated this one in about 2 years, but also this number here is no longer going to the banks. I'm talking about no portion of it is going to the bank, but it's going towards your bank. What can you do with $956 each and every month? Can you sustain a business? Are you able to get business loans? If you need help with that, let us know, right? Are you able to maybe increase your education or to do a software that does all these calculations for you? I mean, that's something to think about, folks. We really do. We need to think about that. Simply because if you are doing the math the way they want you to, it's only going to benefit them. Keep in mind that the loan, who set the terms? Not you, right? We need to change that. And that's how we're changing it with velocity banking. Now, if you have multiple loans, we haven't forgot about you, okay? You got multiple loans and you need to know how to pay it off. Now, you can do the debt snowball way, which is, let's just look at the minimum monthly payment, the lowest one. Let's go ahead and pay that one off. That way you can see an increase. And that's good for those that are maybe psychologically, they need to start doing something. And now, you know, they get the hang of it, right? So they start paying that minimum monthly payment. And then we go to a bigger one, and then we go to a bigger one, right? Or you can do the debt avalanche method, which you're looking at the interest rate. So which loan has the highest interest rate? And you're paying it off that way. And it's very close to the best method, the recommended method, and that is to the CFI. What is the CFI? That is the cash flow indicator method. Meaning what you're going to do in order to get that number is you're going to, that's right, what's on the numerator? The loan balance. So let's just go ahead and say it's at 10,000. And then you are going to divide that by the minimum monthly payment. Let's just say that one is at 100. All right? 100. Let's cross out these zeros here to make it a little easier. All right, that's at a CFI score of 100. And if you remember, 100 is the freedom score. Did I ever show you guys the bar, the line graph in which you can determine which loans to pay off according to the CFI? Let's go ahead and draw that right now, okay? Let's do this here, all right? And let's just put 50 in the middle. Now, you know that there's inefficient loans and then there are efficient loans. Inefficient loans are the most cash flow sucking loans, all right? Those are the loans that you need to prioritize, okay? It comes to the top. Now, if you have a score of 100, you are in the freedom zone, which means you're free, all right? So you don't have to worry about paying that loan off fast because that's an efficient loan. And wouldn't you say that that's a pretty efficient loan, $10,000, and you're only paying $100 each month? Now, keep in mind, all right, remember the common sense indicator. We gotta make sure that we are paying that loan off, because if only $9, okay, is going towards that principal payment, well, you're gonna take forever to pay that loan off, right? And I know that's kind of, extravagant. It's kind of an exaggeration, right? But I do want you to keep that in mind. Make sure you're knowing which amount of the $100 is going to the principal and which amount of the $100 is going to the interest, all right? All right, so if you have, though, a loan that is, let's say it's $1,000 each and every month, what is that going to do? Well, it's going to take out 3 zeros there. It's going to have a score of 10. And of course, that is an inefficient loan, right? It's all the way over here. All right, so we want to make sure that we recognize that there is such a thing as the danger zone, okay, which is from 0 to 50. There's such a thing as the caution zone, all right, which is from 51 to 99, and then the freedom zone, which is 100 and above. Now, just a little note on the caution zone. The caution zone, you can actually call the banks themselves and you can decrease the interest rate. You can talk to them and be like, listen, I need that minimum monthly payment to be a little less because I need more cash flow. Hard times are coming. Just let your bank know. If you communicate with your bank, they do have steps in which they have to make sure that they are taking care of the customer, the client, all right? So please make sure that you're doing that as well. We do have a list of banks that are approval ready. If you want that list, just please let me know, all right? The credit cards, all right, are a tool. They are no longer something to be afraid of, like fire, but you just gotta know how to use them. Does that make sense? Okay, let's go ahead and take a picture of this, take a screenshot. We help our clients all the time with scenarios such as this, and even more difficult scenarios where they are thousands of dollars in negative cash flow. So not only do they have no money, but they still owe money as soon as they get the money, and we help them out of those situations. I want you to be helped as well. Of course, we've got that webinar, Tuesday webinar, right? And letting you know how to automate velocity banking so you don't have to think about stuff like this. We have everything that you need in the description link below. Until next time, folks, God bless you and have a great year.